Welcome to the Kids in the Basin podcast. This is our first episode. We're going over Demon Slayer. I'm your lead, Echo. We have the biggest grinder in here, Sean. We have the dad of the group, Jack. We have the biggest sim in here, Jay. And we have our Arab turtle, Mantis. So, because of most of you haven't probably watched Demon Slayer, we're going to go over a small summary of it. Basically, we have our main protagonist, Tanjiro, and basically he's going over his normal day and going up down the mountain where he lives and exchanging coal for goods. When he goes back up during the night, an old man tells him to come and rest in his house because there's demons out trying to kill people. The next day, he wakes up and goes off to his house and finds that most of his family has been killed, except for Nezuko, the oldest sister, and she's badly wounded. And when his way back down the mountain, he realizes she's turned into a demon, and he's now searching for a way to turn back her sister into a human. Basically, we have a couple arcs in this Demon Slayer in the anime, and wait, give me a second. The first one is the final selection arc. Basically, he's been chosen by one of the previous water Hashiras. His name Sakonji Urukodai, and basically he's training him to become a demon slayer. And the final selection arc kind of goes over the whole process of becoming a demon slayer. So I wanted your thoughts and kind of how they developed out not only the world, but how the process of becoming a demon slayer kind of shapes Tanjiro's worldview from being stuck in a mountain to suddenly realizing how big this world is.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think you kind of forgot to talk about Sakonji's apprentice, the current water pillar. His name was Gyu Tomioka.
Yeah.
Who was there to kill Nezuko when she turned into a half demon, but Tanjiro fought with him to save Nezuko, and he was impressed by Tanjiro. So he told Tanjiro, go see my master Sakonji Urokodaki here, and take this girl with her and make sure she never eats human flesh, because demons eat humans. I actually really liked the way it was done, because it wasn't like a moment of Tanjiro suddenly pulls out incredible latent abilities that he didn't even know he had to beat the water Hashira. Like, he got rocked. He got knocked out. He got destroyed by Gyu. But I like how the anime's progression isn't so much as I have secret powers that I'm gonna unleash a little bit later, but it's more like he trained for it instead of just having it. For example, Goku has powers because he's a Saiyan, or Asta has the anti-magic blade, but they have to train to get better at it.
Yeah, it's a story about progress. You can see, especially in this arc, of him actually having to take a lot of time to practice, to improve his breathing skills, and all throughout the anime, you can see that he's still trying to master his skills. It's not something that, one day I woke up being the most powerful fighter here. He actually has to take time becoming the person he wants to become in order to protect Nezuko.
That makes sense. Chon, I believe there was something you wanted to say?
Yeah, basically I want to cover that we haven't explained yet what a pillar is, or a Hashira, which might leave the viewers confused. Basically, these are the top of the Demon Slayer Corps, which is a organization set to kill demons, for context. Now, you guys continue.
Yeah, so Maitmo, in as part of Tanjiro's training and kind of showing the real kind of mythical side of the anime. Uh,
I think we lost him.
Yeah, I think his internet died. Again.
Yeah, well, okay. Let me expand on what Sean said. There are actually a variety of ranks for the Demon Slayer Corps. There are 10 in total, and they go from lowest to highest, obviously. Mizunoto, Mizunoe, Kanoto, Kanoe, Sushinoto, Suchinoe, Hinoto, Hinoe, Kinoto, Kinoe. And after you get to Kinoe, you normally get to Suguko, which is a very talented Demon Slayer that has been designated as a successor to one of the Hashira. So should the Hashira retire or die, the Suguko would become the Hashira. And as Sean said, the Hashiras are top tier, best in the game. Nobody can beat them.
Okay, so now we should probably cover more of the training arc that we were discussing. So I would like to add that I feel like it has like one sense of realism, even if there's like only 3 or 4 episodes that were dedicated to it. It adds like some development as to how Tanjiro thinks this world. There's like discussions from Urokodaki and Tanjiro about what kind of demons there are, what to watch out for, and even like world building, even like the weapons, like the Nichirin blades, which are sunlight driving metal, which allow to kill demons. Something we haven't explained yet is that demons die when sunlight is like used on them, be it through these special metal blades or through direct sunlight.
Yeah. To that point, these special metal blades that they have, the weapon is not necessarily a blade, actually, as shown by the stone Hashira, Gyome Himejima, who is arguably, well, in my opinion, I really love him, the strongest of all the Hashiras, who uses, a giant axe and a ball and chain to fight, which I find really cool, because, like, he's blind, but he just uses, like, this huge weapon to basically yeets, like, a really heavy metal ball of demons to kill them. Sorry, I love him. I love that guy.
Yeah. I think people might be a little bit confused when we say stone and water. We kind of forgot to mention there are breathing techniques and kind of breathing styles in like the Demon Slayer world. The Demon Slayer use like several techniques, whether it be sword techniques or breathing techniques, to kind of augment their fighting style. And in the training arc, your training arc, basically, Urokodai teaches Tanjiro like the importance to kind of like train his lungs, especially because of the mountain they're in, which was kind of like really hard to breathe. So it kind of like trains him to kind of better his lung capacity and kind of teach him his like water style breathing technique, and I think really develops him into like not your kind of shonen protagonist that just kind of like aces everything, but kind of goes to show like how the struggles he went through to kind of like get to the place he was by the end of the final selection arc.
Okay, I think we should probably go into a bit of what the power system of this series is. As has been mentioned before, this like series is mostly based around breathing. It's not just like your normal, oh, okay, I'm gonna breathe faster, harder though. It's a thing called total concentration breathing, which allows you to, by breathing a specific manner, like change how your blood flows and how strong you are, how fast you are, how you react, and to allow certain techniques to be brought into fruition. These are used to kill demons for the most part by the Demon Slayer Corps, and these are the ones who are mostly familiarized with these techniques, which are like barely existent outside of it. There are various types of breathing, such as water, lightning, insect, flower, and a lot more types, as have been mentioned and will be mentioned furthermore. Now I would like to pass it on to Jack.
Yeah, right. Very nice. Okay, if we're gonna talk about breathing, we have to talk about the wild child and my spirit animal. I think you all know where this is going. Inosuke Hashibira.
Inosuke.
So, I like Inosuke better. Like, okay, so talking about him, everybody has set breathing styles. Like most of the Demon Slayers, high ranking, and some of the lower ranks have breathing styles that allow them to, surpass their limits, in the words of Captain Yami, Black Clover reference, and allow them to fight par on par with the superhuman demons. But these breathing styles are like passed down from generation to generation, and they are built upon. But Inosuke Hashibira was raised in the wild. He never learned any breathing style, and the sword that he got to go to final selection, which is demon slayers have to survive about a week, I believe, in a mountain, and kill a certain amount of demons to be able to pass final selection and become part of the Demon Slayer Corps. Inosuke never had a teacher, and Inosuke never actually got a Nichirin blade, which is the name for the swords that allow them to kill demons. He stole his blades, two of them, off of some random guy, and he chipped them, so instead of cutting, they would be ripping the flesh of the demons. And his breathing form is called Beast Breathing Form, which he developed all by himself. And I just want to say, I like him better than Tanjiro.
It should be noted
Pass it on out to Chon.
It should be noted that beast breathing is one of only 2 original breathing techniques. After all, every single other breathing technique that has been mentioned or will be mentioned is derived from the breathing of the sun, the original breathing technique.
Yes.
However, this is made more impressive by Inosuke, who developed the style entirely on his own and not derived it from any other place. It is implied in the Wikipedia of Demon Slayer that it is derived loosely off of wind breathing, but I do not recall any mention of that in the manga or anime.
No. Also, can we talk about the fact that Inosuke is as flexible, if not more, than the love Hashira Mitsuri Kanroji, who is renowned for having super toned muscles, incredible flexibility, and being able to basically use her inhuman elasticity and strength to fight. But Inosuke, who is what's his rank? I think he's like first rank or so, or am I wrong on that?
I believe they were all the 3 main protagonists, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke. I believe they were in the 3rd rank. I don't remember the name though.
Okay, yeah, well, that makes sense. The fact that he fights in a similar style to her, yet has his own breathing form, I find it incredible. Because his abilities are objectively overpowered.
Objectively, though, really, he's the weaker of the 3 main protagonists who we haven't covered. So I would
That's
like
true.
to
We
transition a bit into the next protagonist, Zenitsu. He is a user of lightning breath, and he is a bit of a coward, let's be honest. However, he is personally my favorite character, so there will be some slight biases, I admit. But I personally feel like he's one of the better characters because even despite being a coward, he still overcomes this fear and tries to kill demons as his job. Now, this is not just because, oh, I'm a coward, I have to beat my fears, but because his debt. A lot of his backstory is about how he got married early off, and his wife tried to con him. So basically, she had a lot of debt, he inherited the debt because of the marriage, she annulled the marriage, and he kept the debt. However, his teacher took it over, paid the debt, and now he's becoming part of the Demon Slayer Corps. And now he feels like so indebted to this person that he wants to succeed for him. So I would like to pass it to Jay now.
Yeah, his character is, in my opinion, one of the most complex. He, as Tron mentioned, he is a coward, and throughout the anime, you only see him actually fight demons when he's asleep or when he's on critical conditions, but by himself, he isn't able to pull out his useful breathing techniques. So I find it really interesting, that idea that when he's asleep, he has like a switch activates, and it makes him more complex, and it makes his backstory then seem that much more realistic. And it really does help to make him a more interesting character than just the typical coward of any other show.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I actually also very much like Zenitsu. Can we also appreciate the fact that I believe Thunder Breathing had three main attacks, or maybe I'm wrong on that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, around 7. There's the least one, the one with the least amount of techniques.
Let me check. Oh yeah, sorry, 7. Yeah.
7, one of which Zenitsu created.
Yeah, 7, one of which Zenitsu created. Zenitsu originally could only use the first breath of thunder. Thunderclap and Flash. Originally. Remember that he was not able to master... Remember, I'm talking... that's where the anime has covered up to now. we're also going into manga territory here. Zenitsu was only able to use the first breathing form. Remember that he used the same form in the battle against the weird spider dude that could turn other people into spiders.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now-
Spider Demon. Yeah.
Yeah, taking this into account, even with only one attack that he could reliably use, he was still destroying it because it's called Thunderclap and Flash. Because when the attack lands, it sounds like thunder. That's how fast it is, and there are multiple variations.
You're cutting out. Did you finish? I think his internet died, so I guess I'll continue. So, going back onto Zenitsu, I would like to mention that there's a lot to cover of his character. Optimus Prime much?
Is he coming back?
There's a lot to cover.
Yeah, he's cutting.
Okay, so I would like to continue on this on Tanjiro. On Zenitsu, since Jack is cutting out. So, basically, what I would like to cover about him is that, as Jack mentioned, there was a lot of controversy with him. Well, not controversy.
I'm back.
Sorry, that is the wrong term. I would like to apologize. So, basically, Zenitsu only knows one technique of the 6 of thunder breathing. If we compare him to other protagonists, the other 2 protagonists, Tanjiro, who knows 8 from the water breathing, or Inosuke, who has 10 from beast breathing, we see this as it's very little. However, much like Bruce Lee has mentioned, I fear more the man who has practiced one kick 1,000 times than 1,000 kicks one time each. In this case with Zenitsu, this applies perfectly because only knowing one single technique allows him to master this beyond recognition to anyone else. In fact, he is the most skilled with a Thunderclap and Flash, the first breath form, which is the only one he is able to use. Not only has he been able to use more speed than anyone else with it, due to things such as God Speed, which he develops further in the manga, or we can see that he has his own original variant of it, which is multifold Thunderclap and Flash, where he allows to chain these up to 8 times in a row. Basically, he is the master of this one technique to the point that is nearly immeasurable compared to others.
Well, can't hate what you can't see, I guess. But we've talked a lot about Inosuke and Zenitsu, but I don't think we've talked about Tanjiro. Tanjiro originally learned water breathing form from Sakonji, Urokodaki. But he also had another breathing form. That is the Hinokami Kagura. It translates to the dance of the fire god, and it is a breathing style only known and taught by the Kamado family. To quote the Wikipedia, it says, "It is passed on from father to son in every generation alongside the Hanafuda earrings. The Kamado family uses the breathing style within a ritual ceremony practiced every year, where the breathing style user offers the fire god a dance from sunset to sunrise to ward off diseases. The dance is composed of 12 segments, repeated through the night. You know what also has 12 segments? Sun breathing, the first swordsmanship breathing style used by the first demon slayer, Yorichi Sugikuni, who was the only person to be able to wound Muzan, which we'll cover Muzan later. But that sun breathing was the style that it all originated from. The users are Yorichi Sugikuni, the first demon slayer. There we have Sumiyoshi, which was the man who actually learned the attacks, or the dance, as you would say, from sun breathing. Then we have Tanjiro's father, Tanjuro Kamado, and then we have our very own Tanjiro. Also, can I just say the names are very cool.
Yeah, they're all really cool, I agree with that. But for those who don't have much context on this, sun breathing is so special because it's the original breathing style, as was mentioned by Jack. By extent, it's also the most powerful of all, and every single breathing technique is derived, and the further they're derived off of it, the weaker they are. Of course, there are things they can do better than sun breathing, like lightning breath, which is derived off of sun breath, can let the user be faster. But in general, they're still weaker overall.
stone breathing is also would also allow the user to basically be stronger, as in like physically. But there's something I'd like to bring in attention here. Can we appreciate the fact that the 12 attacks of sun breathing linked together in a dance?
I mean,
They're
Yeah, like they're all a chain, and they're like their own names of the techniques. They have such amazing names, and they all fit really well with kind of the act of going through the dance. Like Rainbow, like Sunwheel, and like the dragons. Can we talk about the dragon? Like all the dragon techniques, they're like so amazing
bro.
to watch.
What about Parhelion Rainbow? Parhelion Rainbow. Oh my god, the names are just like Fire Chariot, Soaring Flame Haze, The Setting Sun.
okay, now we should probably discuss a bit more on what the demons are, since we've mostly covered what demon slayers are. So who wants to start with that?
I'll go. So, if we're gonna talk about the demons, we have to talk about the original demon, Muzan, aka the Demon King of Pop.
Would you
Okay,
give some
so-
context on why you call him the demon king?
I'll elaborate on why he's a Demon King of Pop. Muzan was I don't know why, but he just looks exactly like Michael Jackson. Okay, if you look up Muzan Kibutsuji and look up the first image, he looks like exactly like Michael Jackson. He is the progenitor of many other demons, and he is the main antagonist during Kimetsu no Yaiba or Demon Slayer. He's biologically 10,000 years old, just to say. And by inserting his blood into humans, he can turn them into demons. He's also the only one who can do this. That is to say that all demons come from Muzan, so they are, they all have to listen to him because they are all effectively his children.
Actually, there are two other demons that can do that, as has been shown. The first two upper moons, who we should probably actually cover right now. The 12 upper moons are the 12 strongest demons that serve right under Muzan. And these are basically his task force of demons working under him. These are the most powerful, not only because of their abilities, but because
Wait, no,
they're
it's not
injected
the.
with their blood.
I'm sorry, you messed up.
Yeah? What did I miss?
It's not the 12 upper moons. It's the 6 upper moons and the 6 lower
sorry,
moons.
the
They're the
12
12 moons in general.
12 moons, sorry. I got mixed up. Thank you for the correction. But yes, these are the 12 most powerful demons because they have not only latent abilities, but because by injecting more of Muzan's blood, they can increase their abilities. These are also some minor or major antagonists depending on the arc we're going with of the series. Being thrown either as fodder characters where they're resolved in one chapter of the manga or taking up to even 20 in some cases. For context, the entire manga has 200 chapters and about
It's-
5 or 6 more.
It's not very long. Also, regarding Demon Anatomy, as John mentioned, the more blood he puts into someone, the stronger they are. But there is a chance that the body can't handle it, and they will, as shown in the anime, turn into mush, literal like putty. Also, can we talk about the fact that Muzan has 7 hearts, 5 brains?
Oh yeah, that was actually overpowered. As something
Yeah.
that we have not yet covered, the main way to kill demons is, well, the sunlight. However, the second way to kill them is with the Nichiren blades that we have mentioned before. These blades
Cutting-
have to cut off the head of the demon. But with Muzan, since he has like 7 brains and like 5 hearts, you have to cut all of them at the same time. Because demons regenerate for some reason.
Well, so his regenerate. It's weird. It's very weird. I think that can fit under a plot hole. They didn't really explain how demons regenerate. They just kind of said they regenerate. Though, wasn't it that the breath of the sun could actually
Burn.
make a demon unable to regenerate?
No, it's not the Breath of the Sun, it's actually the Crimson Red Nichiren blades.
Oh yeah, the Crimson Red Nichiren blades.
Oh.
These are obtained
activated-
via other methods. For example, one of the methods is the Breath of the Sun. However, there have been other methods of doing so. For example, even just banging together 2 Nichiren blades can bring up the heat. and make them be able to cut them, slow the regeneration. This is explained in the manga as being them burning them in a like cellular level
Yeah.
with the power of the sun, because it's
Oh, what-
like mostly conjecture of mine, since this is not explained why, but it's probably because due to the heat and the sunlight stored in there, it's almost like replicating the sun in a way.
All right, so let me get back at you here. So Meteorian blades have been shown to change color in 3 ways. These ways include using Nezuko Kamado's blood demon art, which was the explosive demon blood, raising the temperature of the blade with a strong grip, and clashing two Meteorian blades together. That is true. But there was also that the mark of the Demon Slayer that allowed them to go past their limits, the one that Tanjiro has on his forehead.
Yes. So if I could elaborate on that, basically, the original the first user of the Sun Breath, who was can someone remind me of his name
It's
quickly?
Yorichi.
Yorichi. He basically was one of two brothers, and basically he was born kind of. Also, we need to elaborate on the other world. Basically, he was born with a mark, and he could see this other world through his eyes, in which everything, basically, the whole anatomy of a person, he could see everything. And basically, he was born with this mark, and this kind of trickles down not only the Kamado family, but if a demon slayer who kind of, I think, has to reach 40 degrees Celsius, or like a really high temperature, and they're kind of really exerting their bodies, they will develop this mark around some part of their face. The significance of the mark doesn't really matter. It's just the point that they have a mark. Basically, this will allow them to kind of like, as you could say, go over their limits or do incredible feats that probably no other regular Demon Slayer can do. And this kind of, I don't know how to put this, it's just really overpowered. And
All right, so
basically, yeah.
sorry. So here, let me jump in. So to unlock them, they need to survive life-threatening conditions of having a heart rate over 200 BPM and a body temperature of over 39 degrees Celsius. That is the
Yeah.
precondition in unlocking it, is that an individual must be directly related to the sun breathing. So the Curse of the Mark, it's actually very interesting. The Curse of the Mark is that any Demon Slayer who have awakened the Demon Slayer are set to die upon reaching 25.
However, there is
There-
one exception to this, Yorichi.
There are two exceptions to this, Yorichi and Kokushibo, his brother.
Kokushibo is an exception to the exception because he survived, by spoilers, becoming a demon himself.
Yeah, and he's the 100-eye demons, right?
Yes, he's the...
Couple eyes.
I believe he's
Yeah,
the
he-
second upper moon, right?
No,
He's the first
he's the
upper moon. He's the strongest one because he also uses a breathing form.
Yeah, he uses the moon breath, right?
I believe
Yeah.
so.
One breath.
Yeah, he's just stupid broken because he uses both demon powers and breathing combined. And moon breath is the second most powerful breathing style after sun.
Yeah, but nobody knows it because he developed it.
Okay, so maybe we should cover a bit more on the demons and what their abilities are, such as the blood demon arts. The blood demon arts are like supernatural abilities that some demons develop, not all, mind you, which allow them to do variations of things. Like, not every single demon will have the same blood demon arts. For example, Nezuko, the sister of the main protagonist Tanjiro, has the ability to burn her own blood. This blood has the ability to burn demons, mostly, and selectively as well. However, there are also other examples, such as, for example, one of the lower moons, the sixth lower moon, Rui, who can shoot like spider-like webs that cut like metal thread, or various other things.
There's also the guy who can control his ball.
Oh yeah, he has like
Yeah,
he has a
that was-
It was a duo, right? Because one could control directions, and the other one used this kind of like,
like
not
wave
instrument,
ball.
but kind of like a play, like a toy, like a huge wrecking balls, and basically they
Yeah.
worked as a duo, and kind of like it was really insane.
Yeah, actually, wasn't like one of them had like vector manipulation, and the other one just like threw a shot put really hard.
One of them was
Yeah,
very
and-
strong, and the other one had like arrows that could control people.
Yeah, vectors basically.
Yeah, that was actually really strong. And
That was OP. What
And-
about the
Yeah, sorry.
sorry? What about the demon with the drums that could control his own space? He could turn the house.
Oh yeah, there was this demon with a blood demon art that within a house he could manipulate space. Like, let's say you're in a room and the floor is down usually, right? Well, if he taps this like drum, then now instead of down being the floor, now it's the wall. If he taps it
Basically,
again,
the-
now it's a ceiling.
Basically, the power to manipulate where gravity is pulling you inside of this space.
Yeah.
He's also able to send attacks, like huge claw attacks, by banging on another drum, and these are invisible.
Yeah, overall, there's a lot of weird abilities within Demon Slayer. It should
Yeah.
also be noted that there are more like conceptual breadths and abilities rather than just the typical abilities in basically every media, like lightning or stone, or water even. Here, there's stuff like, for example, love breath, which is like, I have no idea how to explain it, if I'm entirely honest.
Let me try this. What was it was Mitsuri Kanroji who was the
Yes,
the love.
Yeah, love.
Yes, Kanroji.
Okay, so the love Hashira, I don't know how to explain the love Hashira.
Should
It's
we explain
it's
how she acts first of all?
it's okay. So I don't think we need to get into how she acts, bro. It's kind of weird. But remember that she has love breathing is only possible because of her superhuman strength and flexibility. I'm like 90% sure. Remember, because her sword is like a whip.
Oh yeah, didn't she have like actually 4 to 8 times like stronger muscles than normal people for some reason?
Yeah.
It's never explained.
I think
We'll
you
cover
know-
that in plot holes. Yeah, we'll cover that in plot holes. But remember, she has like a whip-like sword, so all of her attacks were really fast. Because I personally don't take physics, but if you grab a rope and you whip it really hard, it gets faster as the force travels to the tip.
For reference, there are some whips which, when whipped normally, they can get to Mach speeds at the tip. Only for like the very tip and very short moments. But that's still impressive. Now add someone who can whip 8 times harder than you and trains on a daily plus supernatural abilities which let her whip even harder, and yeah, basically you have a death machine.
I mean, there are a lot of death machines. What about the snake guy? The snake guy was really cool. What is this? What was his name again?
Iguro.
Iguro had like snake breathing, which I have no idea how to explain either, but basically he used poison and abilities and that kind of stuff.
He has a special blade, I'm pretty sure.
No,
He has
you're
kind of,
thinking
like,
you're thinking of the insect
Wait, no,
breathing.
yeah, sorry, poison.
Yeah, he has a special blade. His blade is shaped like a like a
Like a-
snake
like a-
slithering.
slithering, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a snake slithering. He's also partially blind in his right eye.
Actually, we should also
And
have
has a-
Shinobu, who is
a
the
snake.
insect pillar. Oh wait, you finished it.
Yeah, we're saving her for last because there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, to conclude
But
on Iguro,
like,
basically his
like-
sword, yeah.
But sorry, I was gonna say Iguro has a little snake that he can talk to, and I find that really cool. His name is called Kaburamaru, and he's able to read enemy attacks and relay information. That's why when he was completely blinded by Muzan, he was still able to fight because he still had his little snake.
Yeah. To conclude on Iguro's kind of fighting style, basically his slithery sword basically lets him kind of hit certain angles that you wouldn't be able to hit with a normal kind of like sword, Nichin sword. And basically serpent breathing is all about basically certain motions. As shown, I think he has a training arc. Near the end, they basically explain all their breathing techniques, and Iguro is all about like elusiveness, movement of the sword, and yeah.
And he's in love with the
Kanroji.
love pillar. Yeah, Kanroji.
Okay,
And
so
we're-
now going on to Shinobu, the insect pillar.
Shinobu Kocho!
She has some actually weird abilities because of insect breeding is actually really weird. She has a butterfly motif on her design, but this is not to be confused with her abilities. Her abilities are mostly involving stabbing and poison, kind of like a bee. In fact, she is not able to slash and cut off heads of demons. She does not have the physical strength to do it even with her breaths. However, she does have stabbing strength, and she uses this plant Wisteria, which is something symbolic of life in Japanese culture and mythology, which in here means they're the exact opposite of demons. This is used to develop poison, which she uses to poison demons to death, essentially.
Yeah, she is an expert in that and in all types of poison, as shown by the anti-kibutsuji drug, because she helped Tamayo create the drug that actually weakened Muzan Kibutsuji. Remember, I believe that she was actually eaten by Muzan, right?
Tamayo was eaten by Muzan.
No,
Actually,
no,
Shinobu
no,
was
no.
eaten by someone else.
Tamayo.
Yeah, Tamayo was eaten by Muzan.
Shinobu was
Oh yeah,
eaten by the
she was.
by the second Upper Moon, because she had like revenge stuff, and well, she couldn't beat him. And
Oh yeah,
whatever.
she was killed. She was eaten by Doma.
Yeah, it's actually really
Cool.
interesting because she even goes deep into body modification. She imbues herself with a poison which she didn't even know what it would do to her own body. But she did it because she knew she was going to be killed by this demon in this upcoming fight, and she'll be eaten. So he was like, you know what? I'm going to get this guy to die, even if he eats me. And she did that so that he had to eat like 80 pounds of poison, and her apprentice could kill him. She was a very
37
vengeful-
kilograms.
She was a very vengeful person as opposed to her smiling outlook, actually. A lot of her character is actually her hiding her rage. Because demons are the reason that her sister, the ex-flower pillar, died. She was killed by this same demon that killed her. But the difference is that she was able to avenge her by letting her apprentice kill her after the poison.
To elaborate on that, when she gets killed by Doma, the second, the upper rank 2, it is said that with Shinobu's overall size and body weight, her body is the equivalent of 37 kilograms of poison, approximately 700 times more than lethal needed to kill an average demon. She was not playing no games.
That's true. So maybe we should cover something other than the power system. We've already been over almost 40 minutes, actually, covering the characters and the power
Yeah, maybe let's talk about the art style. Why not? I believe we have someone who really wants to talk about the art style.
So
Heck
now
yeah.
we're gonna present Jay, who is actually an expert in art because he has studied this art style for some reason.
He's also
I
the
mean,
biggest simp around. Call him Sive.
Look, I sent for the Japanese art. I just absolutely how the anime focuses so much. I mean, it got the prize for the best animation of time it was released, and I agree 100. The way it represents the Japanese culture of the time. I mean, it represents from when the water breathing technique that uses Tanjiro is very inspired the art style of the ukiyo-e art style, which was a famous way of printing in the Edo period, and the Edo period was the time before the setting in Kimetsu no Yaiba happens. So the way that they link the art style with the anime just makes it seem so historical, and it's just interesting seeing how much detail the animators took into consideration when making the actual.
Yeah, also there's a lot of motifs of Japanese culture, if I'm not mistaken, right? Such as the red spider lily, or for example, Raijin when inspiring Zenitsu. Raijin, for those who do not know, are is the lightning god or thunder
What
god.
is this?
Yeah.
Naruto, Raijin. Who is he? The Raikage? He's gonna use flying Raijin. No,
Oh,
wait, that
shut up.
was
That was
Minato.
Okay, that's derailing. Please, let's go back to Demon Slayer, the art style. So, Jay, you're probably most familiar with this of the Japanese culture and how it influenced the art. So, please carry on.
Okay, I mean, there's also the big fact that Tanjiro's earrings really also helps set into the mood what the time period actually. Since in the original anime they have the Japanese flag with the stripes going directly to the red circle in the middle, which was the flag that Japan wore before World War One, which was in other instances remade due to it being linked to Japan in World War Two, and some people just didn't agree with it, so they changed it back. But the original Kimetsu no Yaiba always had that um, that flag of the red sun with the different black lines pointing towards it. So that amount of detail that they put just to show the era must be appreciated by all of the artists.
What about Tanjiro's water techniques? I believe you mentioned something of some great wave of something earlier by DMs.
Yeah, the animation for them was inspired by the Great Wave of Kanagawa by the Japanese printmaker Katsushika Hokusai, which was an artist that just liked a lot Mount Fuji, and he went around carving Mount Fuji in various different ways. And in one of those, he captured the Great Wave of Kanagawa with Mount Fuji in the background. And that was probably his most famous print work. And to see that his art style impacted an anime like almost 2 centuries after he made it was really, it really does show his talents, and that's one of my personal reasons why I loved so much of this anime, because it just how they link such a good artist with this show just makes it top notch. Really good link.
Yeah, overall the animation is actually beautiful. How the animation flows, the rate at which it moves, it's just great in every single way. Even the choreography, which is something many battle shonen anime, ironically, are not that good at, is really well done. With every single swing not being a choppy mess of a slideshow, but actually flowing really well, connecting. Even the camera angle switches are very well done and allow the magical aspects of these abilities to show, such as the Great Wave of Kanagawa motif on the water breathing of be it Giyu or Urokodaki or Tanjiro, or even the lightning that Zenitsu has, or whatever the beast stuff is called for Inosuke, the beast breathing.
Yeah, and not only that, but the character models also strive to look different from classical animes. The way they draw the eyes, normally they always try and make them circular, but Demon Slayer just makes them blocky, which really relates once again to that ukiyo-e art style which I mentioned, because since most of the famous artworks made in ukiyo-e were carved, then it was clearly harder to make perfectly round shapes, and that explains why the characters have a bit of cornered eyes. Like their pupils aren't perfect spheres, but they have like tiny points going out of them, and I appreciate that effort as well.
It can also be added that they blend colors in an amazing way. They are able to combine all the bright and dark colors in a really good manner. Even during the action scenes where they're able to show these in a perfect blend that allows it to be visually appeasing.
Yeah, their gradation really does work a lot, and they also implement a lot of glows. I believe that make the art style so beautiful. Like the breathing technique, the way they glow is what really captures the eye. Especially since most of the background is usually a bit darker than the characters. So seeing the weapons glow, like the thunder techniques the thunder breathing techniques just encapsulate generate a contrast so well with the background and just makes you want to keep looking at how beautiful it looks.
Okay, so we should probably get on to the next topic since this is about already 45 minutes long. So, what do we continue with? We've already covered characters, animation, a plot summary. So, how about we cover a bit of the thematics of the series?
I believe we've already talked a little bit about the thematic sprinkled in and there. We've also talked about the period of inspiration. I believe that we should just move on to the missed plot points because, oh boy, are there a few.
Oh yeah, for example, the blue spider lily is something that's been mentioned many times throughout the series. It should be mentioned that Muzan and all the demons are originated by a certain medicine that was created to cure Muzan's disease that would kill him by age 20 in about the year 700. This is actually really important because this prototype of a medicine using a blue spider lily is what created demons. It was hinted at for most of the time of the manga that this would be what could allow them to, find an immunity to the sun and be able to roam for all the time. However, it was never mentioned again, basically. Basically,
Yeah,
got
also-
retconned by making Nezuko
Sorry.
immune to the sun, and Muzan had to go for her catcher and assimilate her. In the end, it just got as a side point that the author probably remembered at the end that the spider lily was only found during the daylight in the last chapter in one sentence.
Also, can we talk about the fact that Inosuke, with absolutely no prior training, no prior knowledge, and he probably didn't even have swords, developed a whole breathing style by himself? Like, at least Yurichi, he was trained with the sword and he developed a breathing style. Inosuke didn't know any of that. My man was living out in the wild with boars. He has a boar head. His head is literally a boar head.
It should be noted this is a mask, not his actual head.
Yeah, he looks like a woman though.
Yeah, I feel like the Inosuke thing, being able to create 10 breaths for his style, even though
Breath forms.
even though stuff like the water breathing or lightning breathing, which have been developed by generations, have 6 or 8, or sun breathing, which was also an original and the most powerful technique, having I believe 12, but over a lifetime. It just shows probably a bit of lack of thought of the author at one moment that he tried to change how things worked, but I believe it still worked out pretty well despite that. If we
Oh yeah, no, it definitely did.
Yeah, it just made Inosuke such a unique character in a way.
Yeah, also, it's not like they're incredibly difficult to do. First Fang, pierce. Inosuke stabs the target's neck with both blades. Second Fang, rip and tear. A double X-shaped slash with his 2 blades in both diagonals. Also, let me talk about the best, the 9th Fang, obviously, extending bendy slash. Inosuke dislocates the joints of his arms to increase the range of his attack. Come on, bro. What other character is just gonna pop his shoulders out of socket to give himself an extra 2 to 3 inches?
Yeah, that's something I've only seen JoJo, and that's about it. But let's get back to this. So really, if we go over the series, there are only 2 people that have created forms, or 3. One, Yorichi, who is the original breath user and the most busted character in the entire series. He soloed Muzan in 30 seconds, and Muzan had to escape and just outlive him. Then there's Zenitsu, who created one technique after mastering everything else and taking years of dedication. Giyu, who's a pillar, who created one technique for the water breath. And then we have Inosuke, who as a child created an entire breath system with 10 breaths.
Okay, but what do you define as created? Because the other styles are derived from sun breathing, but they're not sun breathing. They're different. So I do believe that those styles also do count as being created.
I mean, yes, but they're inspired of existing groundwork. Beast breathing is entirely original.
That's true. So, okay, so the completely original ones are sun breathing and beast breathing, but the derived ones are everything else, including moon breathing.
Yeah. Okay, so how would we rate this out of 100? What do you guys think?
All right, so 100 being the greatest anime of all time, which obviously belongs to Kenan and Kel or Cory in the House. No, I'd give this anime a straight 85 out of 100. Or, yeah, 85 out of 100.
Why do you think 85?
Okay, I don't want to betray too much of it, but the Demon Train?
Yeah, it was like kind of weak arc. I agree.
Yeah, the Demon Train kind of killed it for me, but it had some of my favorite characters. Like the fire guy, he reminded me of Fuego Leon. And I like Fuego Leon.
Personally, I would rate it slightly lower at about 75, because even though the animation is great and it has great action, great character development, the deaths are satisfying and like make sense as to why they happen, have thematic importance, everything. I feel like at one point the pacing kind of went whack. Let's be honest. At the beginning, the training arcs were like they felt organic. They felt like they were meaningful in a way. And every single arc took various episodes and a while that let you enjoy it. However, after like chapter 120 or so, it started getting rushed in a way. Like everything just started developing out of nowhere.
It had the pacing of
What?
The
Naruto filler
the
episodes.
Demon King of high school anime. Naruto filler episodes. I was gonna say that it kind of had the pacing of Black Clover during the Elf arc, where they're trying to cram a ton of information into like where it doesn't need to be. You know?
Yeah, that's true. Like for example, like the invisible world, seeing stuff, the marks. They were all like 80 chapters in, like 80 chapters in the end. Then every single 12 moons, except like a single one, was like in the last 60 chapters.
Yeah.
And also, Muzan's death was also way shorter than expected. I'll be honest.
I feel like if they were gonna do that with Tanjiro, they had to, give it much more time.
Yeah. Also, how a couple of Tanjiro's abilities came back from like literally flashbacks, which he remembered from generations behind him, like past his ancestors, is kind of not very well explained. Like it gets an explanation, but just like kind of sudden. In a way, it feels rushed at some point, as if the mangaka kind of wanted to finish it quick. That's my reasoning for that score. So, Echo, what do you think?
Yeah. What about you, Echo?
Yeah, I have two rankings. For the normal kind of anime fan that like likes to watch, like has already watched, I think I'd give it like a good 79, close to 80. But for someone who's just starting, like to get into anime, I think I put it up a bit higher. It does really all of its tropes and kind of like whatever it's trying to convey to the kind of viewer really well. It doesn't stretch it out too much, and it's not way too fast that you can't comprehend sometimes. And I think it's overall like one of probably the best animes to like start with if you really want to get into anime. Yeah.
Not as good as Cory in the House though.
No, it's actually really good. I agree with you in that sense because it's like many animes have like tropes or certain stereotypes that you have to understand to be able to fully enjoy them. Demon Slayer is like it has like its occasional tad bit, like it also has the Japanese culture understanding that you can have to understand a couple things, but it's not like you need to know it to enjoy it. It's like very beginner friendly. So Echo, is there anything else?
I guess.
Oh, okay. Let's go on to Jay.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry for interrupting. Since I really appreciate the art style is what draw me in the most. And if people are like care a lot about the aesthetics, this is probably the best anime to start with. The art style is really appreciated, and the art style I would rate it like a 95 out of 100. It also has some top tier characters. It's enjoyable. The tone, I really enjoy how it's serious when it has to be, but there's some funny moments when Tanjiro or Zenitsu or Beast Boy just like appear and start doing funny stuff. Like I like that contrast, so that's why I would give it like an 80. And it's enjoyable, like everyone said, for a starter anime watcher to start with this one. If you overlook some of the plot holes, it really is very enjoyable anime.
Okay, so Mantis, any last words you want to say for your overall score?
Wants to say he hasn't said anything the whole time.
Yeah, so
He hasn't
I
been
would say that it kind of I would say that I'd give it a top 10 animes that I've ever watched because I really like the animation, the art style. I love the fight scenes and kind of at least in the manga, it had a really great way to highlight the deaths of the characters.
Okay, so what would your score be? Like, out of 100, if you were to say something.
I would give it something in between 70 to 80, kind of 87.
Okay, that seems fair.
F in chat for Rengoku.
Oh, wait, right, the movie hasn't come out yet, so we accidentally spoiled the ending, yay.
Nothing
Yeah.
happens in the movie. No one dies. Don't
Okay, so-
worry.
No one dies. Absolutely no one
Yeah,
dies.
No one. It has nothing
Look,
to do with a
no
certain
one dies.
flame pillar. Nothing to
It's
do with a
little
certain
insect
flame pillar
dies.
dies. Okay, so Echo,
Those
would you
who
like
die is
to...
correct.
Echo, would you like to lead us out of the discussion?
Sure. So, to conclude, well, next next week, I think we're gonna be covering what was the name?
The devil is
We're gonna be covering The Devil is a Part-Timer. Well, it's been just your lead Echo. It's been Sean, Jack, Jay, Mantis, and Jack. Can you lead us off with your
Yes.
line?
Yes, it's time introducing the catchphrase for the end of all episodes. I need all of you to remember something very important. Remember, bungee gum has both the properties of both rubber and gum. That's it. All right,
Thank you,
boys,
everyone.
we're done for the night.
Thank
Thank you
you.
everyone for coming.
Tune in next week for
Tune in
second episode.
next week for our trash podcast.